Oh, the lag of waiting for it all to come to life. Hello there, Tiger Reef. Can you hear me? We always have to do a mic check at the beginning of these things. Today's topic is going to be about RODI systems. Awesome. Hey guys, welcome to the live stream. We're going to get right into it because, otherwise I burn a lot of time and you get cut out of what's going on. Today's topic is going to be about RODI systems and how they save you money as well as energy. And when I talk about energy, I'm talking about muscles, because you have to haul home jugs of water from the fish store, or you've got to buy water at the supermarket or Target or Walmart or one of these places where you buy it by the gallon, or maybe you get 5-gallon jugs and refill those somewhere instead of making your own at home. I gotta tell you, I've been selling RODI systems for over 15 years. And actually, for 15 years. And I've got a lot of knowledge on this topic. Matter of fact, in the description under this live stream right now, there's a link to a playlist that I put together on YouTube about 6 months ago. And there's about 6 or 8 videos on there that all talk about different portions of what RODI systems do. Now, I'm not going to show you one because you can Google that, plus they're on my website, and not to mention I'm out of stock right now. I don't have any built. I got the parts, but I've sold every last one off the shelf in time for Christmas, and of course I'll be building more as we head into next year. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that come up when it comes to these systems, and that specifically is, wow. There are people out there that will suggest a specific way of setting it up that I don't necessarily agree with. And what I'm talking about is the micron values of each filter. And I've seen this information shared for a long time, and I've basically just done my own thing with my own product. And I have to say that if my method wasn't working, I would probably get a lot of complaints from customers. But instead, what I've done is I've stuck to the same micron size throughout my system, and the customers are always happy. They're not complaining. They're not running into issues. So let's get into this specifically. Here is, let me switch cameras here for a second. We'll do this one right here. This is a sediment filter, and this one is 5 micron. I always double check because I hate to say the wrong thing and then throw you off, on the information. But this is a 5 micron sediment filter. And there are people out there that would suggest starting with a 5 or maybe even smaller. Then they want you to go into a carbon block, and they'd suggest going into a 1 micron. Mine is still 5 microns. And then the next filter, they might say make that 0.5 micron, where mine is still 5 micron. And then it goes into the membrane. This is the membrane. This is a membrane. This one's a 100-gallon-a-day membrane. It's a wrapped fabric that the water passes through. And all the stuff that can't get through, the dirty part of the water, gets sent down the drain. But the good water that came out the other end, that is what you're going to end up using for pure water, which then from the membrane would go through DI resin, which is just a simple housing. It's got a screw-on base. It's filled with cation and ion resin. And as the pure water passes through it, it removes the last of the ions from the water and basically makes it ion-free and TDS-free. And that's what we want, is super low TDS. So just to recap really quick, because there's not a lot more to say about this specific point, I suggest that all the filters be 5 micron. And the reason for the one size all the way across, instead of allowing it to go from larger, smaller, finer, is the first one would trap the bigger stuff, right? And then the idea is that the next one will trap finer things that got through this one, and then the next one traps even more fine things that got through both of those. Well, the problem that you run into, especially if you start with like a 1 micron, is that you'll end up with it's sort of like having a stuffed nose. You know what it's like to breathe all day long, and then when your nose is stuffed up, you can't breathe, and then you're miserable? Imagine your RO system is trying to pull water through, but it's clogged up. Well, if it can't let a lot of water go through it, the membrane is being starved, it's not being as efficient. So instead, I recommend 5 micron all the way across, and you won't have any complaints from your system. It will just run the way it's supposed to run and be nice and productive. So that's pretty much my first point I wanted to share. I got some more things to talk about, but let me bounce into something else. First, I want to scroll this really quick. I want to see what's being said because I don't want to ignore anyone. And it's really important that you participate in today's chat. Just one sec. As you knew from the video I shared about 8-9 days ago, I did a contest trying to find all my things. Everything's hiding in front of me. I'm going to put these out of the way because we've talked about them already. So I can see this box. And so I talked about this contest on Facebook. And what I was explaining to you all was that you could enter to win a gift card. And I've already given away 7 or 8 gift cards. There's one more tonight, and then there's one more tomorrow night, and that's the end of the gift card. So if you haven't entered yet, you still can enter now. It's real easy. Go to facebook.com/melovesreef, and then find the sticky post, like the page, share that post, tag 3 friends, boom, you're in. And you could win a $25 gift card to use on Me Loves Reef. So a few people have already ordered some goodies. Others are holding back, and they're waiting for what they want. One person got a set of RODI filters, $25 off. That saved them money. Another one wanted a mug, so they got one of my awesome mugs. And what else? There was another person. Oh, they got the iPhone floater that you can put a smartphone in, and they wanted that, and they got that for $14 instead of $39. So saving money is nice. So be sure that you enter over there. Now, I thought, well, okay, I did the video on YouTube, and I didn't really reward any of you. So right now, it says on the live stream, there's 44 of you on here right now. I am going to ask for you to participate and just tell me in the description, in the chat box, what you do for a living, and that will be an entry. And at the end of, or in a few minutes, I'm going to go through. I'm going to pick a random number, and I'm going to go through the jobs you do, and one person's going to be a winner, no matter where you live on the planet. I'll pay the shipping. So, because it's international, I don't want you to run into any problems. The contest will be for this book, Giant Clams in the Sea and the Aquarium. This is written by my friend James Fothery. I've met him many times, every year at MACNA. And this beautiful book, see, it's autographed. Oh my goodness. This beautiful book, how am I going to do this? I'm going to switch cameras. Do it this way. Is filled with information about clams and what he learned in his travels to give you a full education. Matter of fact, I need to be reading this book myself. I can see a lot of things that I would love to know more about. But one person is going to win this book. And the reason I picked a book, because if it's an international winner, you can't plug in something electric. So that will be a winner during the live stream today. Then I'm going to do one other drawing for you YouTubers. Switch it back. This one's going to be, I guess, US, unless you have a way to convert it. But if you're watching this video later, after the stream is over, and you also enter in the description what you do for a living, one random person will win this fan. And this is the type of fan I use on my own reef. It's low voltage, it's DC powered. It's a 120 millimeter fan or a 4-inch fan. And I use it and blow it straight down on top of my sump, and it helps keep the aquarium water temperature from rising. And super easy to use. You can use it with a timer if you want. I have mine plugged into the apex, and the apex turns this fan on based on tank temperature. So as the temperature begins to rise, the fan kicks on and blows down to cool the water, and then when the tank temperature lowers to the set point I want, the fan is shut off again. But if you don't have a controller, you could still use this with an electric timer. The trick with a timer, of course, is when you plug it in, you need to kind of figure out the time of day that's ideal. Like in the summer when I was running fans on my 55-gallon aquarium many years ago, I would run the timer from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon till about 3 in the morning. because it took that long, to keep the tank temperature right. But in the dead of winter, I could turn on around 3:30 in the afternoon and be done with it at 8 o'clock at night, and that was just enough to keep the tank temperature down. You can install this in a canopy, you can install it over the sump. It's a prize, and someone's going to win it from the people that watch this video later when it's just a published video on YouTube. But the book is for now. So, let's see if any of you are replying. I'm just curious. All right. One person said they are still using tap water, there's no DI in their country, an RO system is way too expensive. And I am going to tell you that is not true at all. Now, maybe in your country it's very expensive for an RO system. It depends what you consider expensive to be. The system that I sell, my basic one that has been, the original one, started 15 years ago. It's 100 gallons a day. I sell it for $174 currently. I'm kind of thinking about raising the price. It's a 5-stage system. It makes RO water and it makes DI water. And it makes basically 4.16 gallons per hour, which is nice because you don't have to go to the store and haul water home. You can just make it when you need it. You can make it while you're at home. You can make it on the weekends. You can make it while you're sleeping. I mean, it's super nice to have convenient water in your home. A long time ago, I did some math. What does it cost, to make RO DI water? And I was using my own water bill to determine my math. So obviously, if your water rates are higher where you live, it may be a little higher. But basically, I think, if I remember correctly, in the first year, buying a brand new RO system and making water all year and replacing the filters at 6 months and then again at 12 months, it was going to cost you, I think it was 7 to 8 cents a gallon for all of the price. And then after the first year, in the second year, all you're doing is making water and replacing filters. You no longer had to buy a brand new RO system, right? Saved you $174 in the second year. Then you're making every gallon of water for about 3 cents. So I don't find that to be expensive. Matter of fact, I can't believe how many people over the years I've watched haul jugs into the fish store. The fish store sells them water and they haul it home. And I've been watching them do it and I'm always just amazed. I mean, I wouldn't want to... Each jug is 5 gallons. Let's just round up and say a gallon of water is 10 pounds, 50 pounds right there per jug. So you're hauling 50 or 100 pounds of water. And you can round it down and say it's 8 pounds per gallon, but I just like to round up. But even then, you're still dealing with over 40 pounds per jug that you're hauling or hoisting into a car or a truck. There's the risk of getting the inside of your vehicle wet because those jugs are rarely dry. One way or another, they get wet, right? And then, of course, the smell, all that kind of stuff. I prefer to just have jugs here or a barrel that I collect my water in. And matter of fact, if you've watched my videos, and like I said to you guys before, there is a playlist on this YouTube channel, and one of them shows how to get the most efficiency out, or how to get the most out of your RODI system. And I show exactly how mine is set up. I've got tubing running through the walls. I never lift a jug of water. It's awesome. I open a valve here and I open a valve there. So let's talk about that, because I wanted to get into that. Here, let's switch gears to a different camera again. So this right here is an adjustable float valve. And I've been selling these for a long time. I use them on my own system. And they have a set screw on the side so that you can adjust how you want to install it. You could install it in the lid of a container, or you can install it on the side of a container. And then all you do is tighten the little thumb screw. See the thumb screw? And your tubing comes in right here. And inside here is a little tiny bit of plastic. Do not lose these. I'm going to grab a piece of tubing here. I'm going to show you how this all works. Maybe. See, don't lose it. So what I do, I drop it. All right. Got it. So you have to take this float and you have to install it in something. So you drill a 1/2-inch hole that this will fit through, and then you'll push it through and tighten the nut to squeeze it onto your bucket or your barrel. Okay? Then you have to hook up your water from the RO system. So you have your piece of tubing that's coming to the RO system. It's probably blue, because blue is usually pure water. I just grabbed a piece of handy tubing. Press it through. And then we're going to take this little goofy guy. See if you can see that. It's very small. Anyway, it goes over this tubing. Now you can kind of see that. And then we're going to take the next one, which is another little tiny guy. We're going to slide it over the end. So it looks like this. Then your nut comes over the end, and you're going to press it in as far as it'll go into the float valve, and you hand tighten. No wrenches. And now it's ready to go. Water's coming in, and water will just be trickling out of here nonstop until this float rises. And what it's doing is it's pushing a flapper shut to stop water from coming out. Now, all this does is keep your floor dry. Sorry, switching cameras. All this does is keep your floor dry. But what it does not do is necessarily stop the RO system from running. You may hear the system go silent, which means it's shut off. But every time a little drip of water leaks out of here, because there's pressure coming in, so it's going to do an occasional drip, drip, that little change in water pressure will make the RO system come back on. When it comes on, wastewater is going down the drain until it shuts off again. So it's basically going tss, 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 maybe 3 times a minute, not nearly as fast as I just showed you. Maybe every 10 seconds, maybe every 20 seconds, you'll hear it shudder to life and turn off. Benefit, floor stay dry. Downside, you're wasting water. So I set mine up and I run the system to fill up my top-off reservoir, which may take 4 or 5 hours. And I try to do it when I'm awake. Now, if it's completely empty and it's going to be running overnight and still going first thing in the morning, I don't care, I'll sleep through it. But if it's going to top off with 15 or 20 gallons, in a matter of a few hours, it'll be done. I make sure that I'm done running the system before I go to sleep. And then when it's full and this thing has done this thing and I hear it doing its thing, I have one more fitting, which is this one right here. And this is an inline ball valve, and I love these. I recommend them to everyone, that even if you don't have a float valve, I love these inline ball valves. I use them everywhere. So I just connected one on there just to give you a quick demonstration. Here's a little tiny blue clip that I put on there. These retaining clips are just like a safety. So now you've got your float valve that has risen. Water is essentially trying to stop, but not really. If you close this valve, which way? Like that, no more water is going to pass through. It's literally going to stop right here. It doesn't matter what's happening on this end, and on the other end, the RO system is completely off. It will not come on again until you open this line. And I find this to be super convenient. So I have one of these valves right by the ATO reservoir. And it's installed in my reservoir. Here's my reservoir. All the water's over here. This is my little quick, easy to reach cutoff. Then the tubing goes through the ceiling and over into the back utility room where my RO system is sitting. All right. So I definitely recommend these. They're on my website. So are these. These are 12 and these are 9 if you're interested. All right. I'm talking to a paramedic who's sitting in an ambulance right now in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks for watching the live stream. And thank you for telling me what you do for a living. Good, guys. Keep putting in there what you're doing for a living, because that's how you're going to be counted as a... that's the easiest way I could think of doing this. If I had a minion that could run the contest at the same time, that would be even better. But it's near Christmas, and I thought, there's no way I can get anyone to help me with this. Bob Drossett is an operator of a water filtration plant. Bob, do you have an RO system? Okay, good. So I see some of you guys are catching up. Now, let's talk about RODI water and drinking it, because I cannot believe the information people keep sharing online. They repeatedly, basically what they do is they read something like, oh my God, and they repeat it to everyone around them. And it doesn't always mean what they're repeating is true. So what I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to put this on the screen again. Don't drink DI water. Not because it's going to hurt you, but because it tastes terrible. Okay, that's it. Matter of fact, I had a customer who bought one of my RODI systems for his parents, and they didn't have an aquarium. I didn't know. I just shipped it out because I was asked to send an RO system to a customer. And he said, my parents hate the way it tastes. I said, oh, they're not running an aquarium? And he's like, no, I got it for them so they have good drinking water, because it's so much more economical to make your own than it is to buy bottles. And I agreed. And I told him, get rid of the DI. And he said, really? That's it? And I said, yes, just don't use DI. And he's like, that's awesome. And that's what he did to solve it. Now, if you've ever been into a Home Depot or a Lowe's and you were just kind of walking down the aisles in the plumbing department, you might have saw an under-the-counter filter. And a lot of times it's a single housing. And you know what they put in there? One carbon block. They put this guy in there and it adds taste. They actually call it a taste filter. You know what it's doing? Yes, it's trapping some fluoride and chlorine and possibly ammonia, but hopefully not. Ammonia should only be used through plumbing when they're testing it, not regular. Anyway, it traps those things, but carbon actually puts flavor back into it. And if you were to put a carbon filter after your RO system, how do I explain this? Let's say you had an RO system running, no DI stage, right? And you're measuring the TDS coming out of the RO system, and the TDS was 7 coming out. And then you said, I'm going to install a carbon taste filter afterwards where the DI would go. Your TDS might be 21. It actually adds some TDS back to the water, which makes it more palatable. So, do we need a taste filter? No. The water coming out of my RO system where I live with my city water is 2. And that's fantastic. And so I just have to polish off a little tiny bit with the DI from my aquarium. But I drink 2 TDS water. I use it for coffee. I use it for tea. It's used for my ice cubes because I have it plumbed into my ice maker and the door where you can get a drink of water. But I never use the water on the door because I have a spigot on the sink. And so I can just quickly just draw the water, just whoosh, and fill up a glass. It's great. But now let's talk about why DI is bad for you. And I'm telling you this now so that you can tell everyone else. I mean, this is literally going to be your job now, is to regurgitate what Milef told you. And that is, if you were to only drink DI water, which means you're stuck in the Sahara Desert, there's no food anywhere, you're struggling through the sand, crawling across the desert, and you find an RODI system set up that's running with good filters and drinkable water, and if you only drank that DI water for 3 or 4 weeks straight and not a bite of food or anything else, yes, you would probably perish. Because DI water is deionized. It's pulling the ions right from your body. Okay, did you get that? You have to be in the middle of a desert. You have to have found an RODI system that's running, that's hooked up with a tube that goes straight into the sand, because where's this water coming from? And the resin has to still be good and usable to be pulling out ions because it's not been used up by the last guy that came up there and sucked on that hose for 4 weeks. Now, let's get back to an average homeowner who has an RODI system and they said, I drink DI water, it doesn't make me sick. It's not going to make you sick because you cook with water, you mix ingredients that have water. We don't eat anything dry. Everything we put in our mouths came from water at some point. Everything. And when you're making a cake, making pasta, cookies, anything you cook involves ingredients. Eggs, milk, butter, they all had fluids in them, right? They all came, there's some water. And guess what's in all of those? Ions, elements, vitamins. So consuming other foods negates what that glass of DI water might have done to your body temporarily for a minute. But DI water just tastes bad. And if you have metal fillings in your teeth and you're drinking DI water, it'll actually taste like you're chewing on a piece of foil. It's an unpleasant taste. But if you don't use DI water, use RO water, no weird effect. And I just had a friend, a buddy of mine, I used to do a podcast with him. He called me up and he said, hey, I'm moving out of state and I'm thinking about replacing all my filters and hauling this thing with me. And I've had it for, I think he said, 8 years. And he said, I can't stand any other water but the water that comes out of the RO system that you sell. So my wife's complaining that I'm so picky about water, but I only love this. And he ended up saying, I'm just going to buy a brand new one, install it there, and leave this one in the house that I'm moving out of. And that's it. I mean, you have RO water for drinking, which is awesome. And then you have DI water for your aquarium. So your entire household benefits from having an RO DI system. But do not drink the DI water, not because it will kill you, because it tastes bad, doesn't benefit you, and you're just wasting resin. Save the resin for your aquarium. Okay? That's it. You can go regurgitate that to everyone, or you can just share this video and have them watch it. You can say, jump to minute 20 where Mark goes on a rant. All right. Now, let's talk about TDS for a moment. This is a TDS meter, and this is a handheld TDS meter. I love having a handheld one because it gives you the flexibility to use it anywhere, including if you go to a friend's house to help them with their aquarium and they're having issues, the first thing you do is check their water and see what's going on. So, you remove the cap, These are the electrodes right here. You have an on-off button right here. So it is now booting up. Let's see if we can see what's happening here. And you would take this and you would put it in a cup of water. And that's one of my videos. I told you guys I have a playlist of RODI systems, including how to test with a TDS meter. I do not recommend taking one of these and putting it in a big barrel of water. And there's two reasons why. Number one, if you drop it. True story, I had a customer order one of these. They got it. The next day, after they'd received it, they said, I need another one. I dropped it at the bottom of the barrel and it's toast. So obviously, you do not want to drop it in a barrel. If you were going to put this in a barrel, hold on with your fist and do not let go. But it's really easy to use. You put it in, and this one here has a hold button. So you can put in the glass of water, have about an inch of RO water or RODI water, push the hold button, and now you can take it and you can read it because it keeps the number locked on the screen. I should have brought some water over here for this video, but I did not. I think you can understand what I told you to do. The top here pops off at the very apex of the unit, and let's see if I can do it. Well, inside here are some little tiny watch batteries you can get anywhere. So you can replace the batteries when it needs them. And then when you're done, dry it off on a towel, put the cap back on it, put it away until later. Now, you can use it to measure RO water, you can use it to measure DI water, you can measure tap water. These are the three things we always ask a customer when they have a problem or a question. We say, what's the TDS of your tap water? What's the TDS of your RO water? What's the TDS of your DI water? If you don't own one of these, no one can help you. So you need to own a TDS meter. And the reason you own this meter is to tell you what the quality of your water is. Now, if you have a jug of water you haul water home in, you could put this in the jug and measure the TDS, and you'll be shocked that your number is not zero. Especially if you're, now, we are only talking about fresh water. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. We're only talking about fresh water. So you brought this jug of fresh water for top off for your aquarium, and you stuck this in the top of the jug, you held on tight so you didn't drop it, and you measure it and it says 60, or it says 80, or it says 10, or it says 15. The reason the number is high is possibly your jug is dirty on the inside. So what happened is the fish store did sell you nice clean water. We're assuming they sold you good water, right? And you put it in your dirty jug, and the jug made the water polluted. It has TDS now. So from time to time, you need to take your jug, you need to put in a little bit of bleach, I don't know, a 5-gallon jug, a couple of tablespoons of bleach, add some water, shake it around in there really good, put the cap on, shake, 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 and then put a garden hose in there and just flush it clean, and then leave the cap off and let it air out for 24 hours. Then you could fill it up with RODI water, and you could measure the TDS, and it should, and if the water is zero at the source, then when you put in that jug, it should stay zero. I had a local customer that ordered a RO system from me, and after a while he said, hey Mark, this system doesn't work. I have a big barrel, the brute trash cans, and the water coming out of my RODI system with brand new filters is 80. And I told him that's not possible, and I am heading over there because you're only a few miles away. And I made a house call, and the first thing I did was I took his tubing. We're going to borrow this real quick. I'm going to show you what I did. Okay, so here is his RO system water feeding in, and the water comes out here, and let's say it was going into the barrel. So I just took the tubing out of the barrel, I opened the valve, and I collected it into a nice clean dry cup. And then I put the meter in there, and I measured it, I hit the button, it said 0. I said, your water is 0. And he said, but the water in the barrel is 80. And I said, yeah, I know. Because I scooped the water out of the barrel and I put the meter in there and it showed 80. So, and the funny thing is, the barrel looked clean. The tubing from a big pump at the bottom looked clean. The pump was clean. Nothing was slimy or gross, but it was measuring 80. Anyway, I told him to do the thing where you scrub it with bleach water. And in that case, like a big trash can, I recommend 10 parts water to 1 part bleach. And you just take, a brush, a sponge, a used t-shirt, and just scrub the inside of the barrel really good all the way around. Rinse it really well. Clean off the tubing and the pump. You can even take the tubing and the pump and submerge it in that bleach water and run it so it can kind of purify the inside of the tubing and everything. And then rinse everything really well, let it air out for 24 hours. And then the next day he refilled his barrel and the measurement was back to 0. So your container that you're storing water in could be dirty, giving you a false reading. Always measure the water coming right out of the tubing. Okay, reminder, we're still doing a contest. You need to say in the chat what you do for a living to be entered. I'm going to ask a favor that you don't do it over and over because I want to make this easy. If you've already entered, you're entered. And I'll be going through this list and I'll figure out who wins. Basically, I'll just pick a random number. I might just write it down and then we'll go through and I'll start counting and we'll see what I land on. I don't know. I have this horrible master plan, right? Now, I showed you the handheld TDS meter. These, by the way, are $25 and they work anywhere, so internationally. This is a dual TDS meter. And I love this meter. That's why I sell it. There are cheaper ones on the market, but I love this one because it's easy to read. It's like a thermostat on your wall, right? It's got an on-off button right here at the top. Let's see. Yep, it's on. And you can see it's measuring 0. Yes, perfect. No, I'm kidding. And on the back is the mount. You would take this and you would secure it to the wall if you like, or you can take off the tape off the back and stick it right to the RO system like I do. And then you would just mount the bracket, mount it right in the bracket. Oops. And now it's hanging in the front of your system where you can hit the button real easy. And there's an in and there's an out. And the in and the out are for the two different probes. And basically what I would do, I would use one probe for RO water and I'd use one probe for DI water. Because we really don't care what's happening with tap water. Tap water is always going to be tap water. It's always going to be whatever the city or the well gives you. But what's coming out of the RO system is what we care about, and definitely what we care about is what's coming out of the DI. So when you're running it, you run the system for about 2 minutes solid, and then you do a test. You hit the button, and you measure what's the water coming out of the RO. And if it's nice and low, then I would close the RO line, I'd open the DI line, and I would make DI water, and that way I don't waste my DI resin. And there's a video called Avoid TDS Creep, Stop Wasting DI Resin. That's on this channel. You can watch it whenever you're ready. These retail for $50, and I love it. It uses one AA battery, and I've been using the same one for years and years and years. And these come with the 150-gallon-a-day RO system I sell. All right. And I guess lastly, I would like to tell you guys, one guy is a delivery driver and an Uber driver. Can you imagine that? You're making a delivery and you take a person with you at the same time. That's cool. By the way, the contest, if you got here a little bit late, you were trying to win this book. So one random person from today's live chat will win this book, written by James Fothery, who knows everything there is to know about clams, and you could know as much as he knows if you get this book. Mike B says, wouldn't you want to test your tap? Test your tap size. Okay, Mike B is asking, wouldn't you want to test your tap water to make sure that your RO water is coming out correctly? Well, yes, and that's the benefit of a handheld TDS meter. You can go to any faucet in the house, let the sink run for 30 seconds or so, collect a glass, test it, boom. And now you know your tap water is 167 or 228 or 1500. It just depends where you live in the US or even around the world. Basically in the US, if water is measuring over 500 out of the tap, it's considered unsuitable for human consumption. And yet people in Arizona are dealing with 1200 to 1500 every day, and they're paying for that stuff. And it's considered not safe to drink. And yet you don't hear anyone in Arizona is boiling their water. They have crazy high TDS there. Where I live, it's always under 200. Across town, I've got a friend who literally says on his side of the street it measures 800, and the other side of the street, everyone has a low number because he is either too close or too far away from the lake. It's one of those. And so he couldn't use an RO system because he'd burn through filters every 2 weeks. It would clog up so badly. Okay, I want to show you some fittings that are used when connecting an RO system, because it's nice to know. So the most easy connection you can ever use is a hose bib connection. And a hose bib fits on the same threads as a garden hose. And like behind your washing machine, there is a cold water and a hot water, and those are hose bib connections. They actually call that a hose bib. And you would just take the cold water line, you'd split it with a Y. You go buy a Y at Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Walmart, wherever you can find one. And one hose will then go to the washing machine like it always did. The other one would connect to this. And you would just go ahead and screw this on, hand tight, no wrench. It's got a rubber washer in there, and that's what seals it. And then you put your tubing directly in. I'll show you again how to do that. Actually, I'll grab this piece of tubing. So let's pretend this is your feed water. Actually, on my system, the feed water is red, so this is the right color tubing. You just press it in, push, pull slightly, and then you would put the retaining clip back into place. This right here is a connection, and you're done. I mean, it's great. The only thing I would give you a heads up on, make sure your washing machine doesn't have the ability to like shake. You know how sometimes a washing machine will walk across the floor? You don't want it to walk across into the wall and break the sucker off. So if you want, you could lay a 2x4 across the floor right behind the washing machine, so if it vibrates, it kind of hits the 2x4, it doesn't quite hit this. Just something to keep in mind. If yours is higher than it, or it's recessed far enough into the wall, then don't worry about it. But it's just one of those things. I like to always think about Murphy's Law and what can go wrong. Another connection that people use to hook up an RO system in like an apartment, or perhaps it's a college student in a dorm, and they need to get water, once a week, is you could use this one right here. This is used on a faucet where all you do is remove the aerator, screw this guy on, and now it's still an aerator where water can come out, but then you can put the tubing onto the side. You take your tubing and you would probably heat this up in some hot water and then press it on. I mean, you could probably jam it on, but I would heat it up to make my life easier. Slide it on, and then you change the course of the water by turning the valve, and now water's coming this way instead of this way. And now you're feeding water to the RO system. Okay? And you can just leave this on the faucet permanently. Very nice. And then the third option would be if you wanted to install it under the sink. So this is a nice fitting that I include all my systems. And under your sink, you have a cold line and you have a hot line that go up to the faucet of the sink, like a bathroom sink. And usually it's a flexible hose, whether it's a braided hose or it is a metal braided hose. It's just bendy. Not just a copper pipe is my point. It's a bendy hose. Those have this type of thread. So you would unscrew it off of the current cold water side. You'd install this where that hose was, and you put the hose on top, and then this right here goes to your RO system. And you can close the line right here to stop the water from coming out when you want to change filters on the RO system. But of course, you can just turn off the water at the source. But this could be, I'm turning off the water to my RO system, but I'm leaving the sink intact to use it all the time because I'm not using the RO system very often, or I'm going to go on vacation. I don't want to have a chance of anything going wrong with the system, so I'm closing the line right here. And of course, you can just reopen it when you're ready to make water. So this is a nice install under the sink. There's also a way of connecting the drain line. This would actually go around the pipe of your the drain under the sink. You've got your sink draining, has a U trap or a P trap, and then you would install this somewhere in that line, maybe on the down line, and you would just install the black hose, tighten a nut, boom. You'd have to drill a hole in the pipe though, but if the pipe is made of plastic, you can just replace that pipe one day if you ever were to move away. That's pretty much it. I guess I should talk about this guy. This is a T-fitting. And if your RO system currently is all one system, basically you turn it on and water goes in one end and comes out the other, and you cannot split it before the DI to avoid TDS creep, or you can't make drinking water yet because your system didn't come that way, you can install this T after the membrane before the DI, and then you can run some extra tubing, and that would allow you to collect RO water. And then when you close the valve on the line, just close it so it's closed, then water will continue to the DI and come out the other end. So those are the things that I thought you'd like to know about, just for some basics. It may seem a little overwhelming, but on my channel I have, like I said, about 6 or 7 videos, including how to install an RO system, how to change the filters, how to replace the membrane, how to remove that tubing and put it in, how to measure TDS, how to avoid TDS creep, and even how I've got it all installed. And I made it crazy complicated because, like I said, it does my ice maker, it does my kitchen sink, and it does my entire fish room. So these are all the things that I recommend, and I love it. A few things. Okay, so here's some tidbits. I always recommend you bolt it to the wall. Screw it in nice and solid. A brand new system in the box that I ship is 20 pounds. Once you fill it up with water, it's probably going to be like closer to 35 pounds, maybe 40. And you don't want that to come out of the wall because you use some silly little screw. So I usually recommend install a board on the wall and then screw the system into the board, and that way it's really holding tight. Another thing that I want you to know is that the maximum distance you can pump RO water from the system is 40 feet. So that would be the water going out of the system. So if you ran, you're running a system, you ran a big long tube all the way over to your aquarium. If you go more than 40 feet, you're putting a lot of back pressure on the membrane. If you go more than 40 feet for the drain line, again, it's going to affect efficiency. So I try to keep the feed line short and the drain line short, but the outbound line, the pure water that's going to your barrel, you can have up to 40 feet long. If you cannot screw it to a wall, then put it on a shelf, and then I'd at the very least put a couple of screws on either side and run a bungee cord around to kind of hold it in place. If you are in an apartment and you need to, you can install it under the sink, and you could roll up the tubing and put it under the sink, and when you're done, when you want to run it, open the cabinet, pull the tubing up, and put it into a jug, and put the jug in the sink. That way, when you turn on the RO system and it's filling the jug and you forget, because you will forget, it overflows into the sink and doesn't flood the apartment and piss off the neighbor downstairs or get you in trouble with the management. If you have a RO system outside, I'm going to highly recommend you bring it inside. Some people do that. They put them outside and they're open to the elements. They're open to sunlight, which is heat. They're open to the winter, which is cold. If you're in an area that's prone to freeze, even if it's in your garage, which you know gets freezing cold, the best thing you can do is turn off the water going to the system, open the valves on it so it can bleed out the pressure, unscrew the housings, maybe drain a little bit of water out, or better yet, bring the darn thing inside to normal climate. These systems really belong inside a house. They belong in a 75 degree, typical house temperature, not 32 and below. And I'll tell you, every year, matter of fact, it'll happen again this spring, this winter. I guess I'll call it winter. Spring isn't until like April. But invariably, February, March, and April, people are buying housings from me because they crack their systems because they let them freeze solid. And it's not just the housings that can rupture. These fittings right here, they can crack too. They fill up with water, they burst and snap, and then when they thaw, water squirting everywhere. Do not recommend putting them outside. I do not recommend having them in a cold room. If you could at the very least insulate it, that would be smart. You could put, make a box out of that pink foam and put it over it to kind of keep it warm. You might be able to wrap the system with heat tape, which is an electrical way of keeping plumbing from freezing. It's basically a long plastic thing, and you wrap it around a pipe normally and plug it in, and if the temperature gets below a certain temperature, it turns on this little heater to keep things lukewarm. Not lukewarm, but just not freezing. But do not let your RO system freeze. Do not leave it outside. And don't leave it running and flood your home unless you have a really good mop and a mop bucket. One person said just now, if you have a booster pump, can you go more than 40 feet? Not really. The booster pump is applying water pressure to the membrane, and the 40 feet limit of tubing after the membrane is what's creating back pressure on the membrane. So you got pressure going in, but you got back pressure happening. It could affect, you could do some measurements, and you could see if you're getting the same waste ratio. You could see if you're getting the same TDS coming out of the system with or without the longer tubing. Those are the different things that, it's just a rule. And you know what? I didn't invent this rule. My supplier, who I've been dealing with since I started selling these, told me that's the rule. And so I'm passing it on to you because it's best case advice. If you want to do your own thing or you want to be a rule breaker, go for it. And keep in mind, 40 feet is 40 literal feet. It's not, well, my tank is from here to here is 40 feet, but I got to go up 12 feet and I got to go across 24 feet and I got to come down 15 feet and I got to come over 6 feet. That's more than 40 feet. I'm talking about a 40-foot piece of tubing. I ran a 25-foot piece of tubing from my RO system to my fish room. And I intentionally used a solid piece of tubing. I didn't have any connections in the middle because I didn't want to have a potential leak halfway. I do sell tubing by the foot. If you said, hey, I need 40 feet of blue, or I need 40 feet of red, or I need 40 feet of black, I have it. So that would work. Mike BS, how does head pressure affect an RO system? A 7-foot tall container is not a problem. You can definitely go up a few feet. That's not going to affect it. If you had to pump an RO system upward, like to the 2nd floor or even possibly the 3rd floor, might be running into something. That one I don't know the answer to, so I'm not going to even guess. Okay. Okay, one more reminder about this. Gift card contest is going on Facebook today, facebook.com/melovesreef. All you got to do is go there, find the sticky post, share that post, tag 3 people, like the page, and you're entered. There's 2 more $25 gift cards. I'm giving one out today, and I'm giving one out tomorrow. I'm about to give away this book in a few more minutes. Let's say in 2 minutes, okay? So if you have not done it yet, in the comments of this video, please type what you do for a living. That's all you gotta do. That's to enter to win that book. And let me talk about Reef Trace for a moment. Matter of fact, let me see if I can get it to load. Give me 1 moment, please. And we're gonna grab this thing again. Ah, you guys already see it. I didn't know you were gonna see my screen. Are you still there? Okay, good. That was weird. It said live stream was off for a second. Okay, so there's Reef Trace on my screen. These are the parameters I took today. I measured my tank. My magnesium is finally coming up. I'm going to mix up another gallon today. And then that's going to bring it up a little bit higher. My nitrate has not budged. Matter of fact, I got a picture. Well, let me stay on Reef Trace for a moment. In Reef Trace now, there's a new section called News. And in News, it'll be news pertaining to the industry. So here are some of the things that have been added so far, like how to dose phosphate RX. The Reef Parameter Guide is built into the app now. What does phosphate look like? Ammonia warning, my recommended parameters. These are the new things that are in. It's a brand new section of Reef Trace that will continue to be filled in the coming days. For Android users that are still waiting, it's coming out in January. I was told do not give you a date, so January is when you're going to get it. In my head, I'm going to say January 15th, but I didn't say it out loud. You never heard that, but it'll be in January. If you were looking at parameters, sorry, let's go back to where we were. Right here, this is the new parameter guide that is built into the app. And this is for iOS. It will be in the Android version. And you can see this is natural seawater. And then down here, it shows the numbers I recommend for a reef tank. And then down here, this is showing the average numbers being input by you Reef Trace users. And it's updated once a day. So every day, based on all the numbers that have been submitted, this will give the averages of the hobbyists that are using Reef Trace. I think that's going to get really awesome the more we use it. Okay. And then I know I've told you guys about the LFS locator that's built into Reef Trace, and that lets you find what stores are within a 45-mile radius of where you live. And that blue marker on the screen, you can drag it to a new spot. Like if you're going to travel to another city, you could drag it there and see what stores are there. If you are a fish store owner, you can let Reef Trace know, and they'll add you. There are different ways to update that information. You can do it through reeftrace.com, I believe. I know they have a Facebook page as well. And then Critter ID, of course, is built in, which is a great way if you're new to the hobby and you're trying to identify something and you're like, what is that? You can just go to a section and you can explore the pictures until you see what looks like what's in your tank, and then learn more by clicking the item. Like take an emerald crab, for example. And there's a little description about it. And during 2018, I'll be adding videos to each one of these items so you actually see some movement in the Critter ID section. And then the Plaza section is still being filled out, but this would be live goods that are available either nationally or possibly in your general area that you could order from. And of course, dry goods will be available too from different vendors that are probably going to be national vendors. So this would be really nice. Ed asks, for the LFS, you should be able to type in the zip code or the city name. Don't think that's an option right now, and I don't know if that'll ever be one. I think it's more moving the marker to the area you're going to go. Like when I was playing with this and I wasn't connected to the web, or I'm connected to the live stream, I was able to drag it up to Canada, and I just picked a city, and I found some fish stores up there. I thought, oh, that's kind of neato. And they're constantly adding stores. But I don't think the search works the way you're describing. I don't think it's an option yet. Just like you can't type in a club name to find a club, but you'll find a marker for a club in your general area. So that's something new. That the news thing is the new thing from Reef Trace. I was told to make sure to let you guys know about it. So if you haven't bought it yet, it's in the App Store, and you can definitely get that now and enjoy it. Look, there's Rod's Food at the bottom. I love Rod's Food. See? A double sponsor hit in my live stream. That's great. Okay. I want to give you some more news. This news I'm going to switch to is going to be about the nitrate brick. So I put it in my system 3.5 weeks ago, and I've been measuring my nitrate. And today I measured my nitrate, and it's still over 25 on the ELOS test kit. So it's probably still around 40 or 50. And I don't expect it to work yet. I think it's going to take some more time. But a lot of people commented saying that they got a brick and that it just crumbled and collapsed and something made a big mess. Well, number one, it shouldn't collapse like that. And apparently there was a bad run of bricks a year ago. And that may be the bricks that everyone's talking about. Those might be all the people from a year ago that are still upset that they had to get a shop vac out and clean out their sump. But it's not supposed to do that. And if you're dosing these bricks with no-pox, apparently it can make some of these bricks dissolve. I took my fingernail and I pushed on my brick to see what it felt like. You know, it's been in the tank for 3.5 weeks. And it just felt pretty rigid still. I mean, I could basically, get my nail to leave a little tiny dent in it. But it hasn't done anything like dissolve or create a big mess. Where to put it in your sump may be a critical decision. It seems like if you want nitrate export to be most effective, is in an area that's really low volume or low flow. Mine is sitting right under the triple baffles, but I don't really find that area to be cavitating or anything interesting. I think it's just water moving over the top to kind of keep that area clean. And I'm hoping that this brick will pull the nitrate down. I'd love to say it works. That's why I'm doing this review. Also, I got a box. It arrived today from CoralView. Other things that are going on, well, let's stay on one topic at a time. So I told CoralView I needed them to send me, let's see. Oh, neat. Things have changed. Okay. I asked them to send me some test kits. So there's calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. And I told them, send me really pretty boxes because they are going to be in a video coming up. I have already done 5 videos for ELOS test kits, and they're built into the Reef Trace app where you can see how to use the ELOS kit. And what I did with each video is I tried to keep it short. So instead of making you live through 5 minutes of a test, I basically got it down to like 90 seconds, where I'd say like, shake this bottle 15 seconds, and I would do it for 2. And I'd say add 7 drops, and you would just see me put in 1 or 2. Because you don't have to watch me put in 7 drops to learn how to do a test kit. But you've got in the app the visual to, let's see if this even works. I don't think I've ever tried to show this to you guys. Go back to this one. And I think we jumped out of my app. Yeah, go back to here. So if we go to alkalinity, for example, log an entry, choose a test kit, choose DKH, get started. Then right here is one of the videos I made. And it shows you exactly how to do the
test kit.
In about 90 seconds.
These are the instructions
so I've done that
included with each kit.
And
showing
then
you exactly how much solution
I did it for all the ELOS test kits. I'm going to be doing it for Red Sea.
Water up with
I'm going to be doing it for Salifert. We're going to do it for API. I might be doing it for Giesemann. I might be doing it for NIOS. But the goal is to have all the different videos showing you how to do things
exactly 5 milliliters
right there in your phone.
Once you've verified
so you've got
the
a
right
quick
amount in your syringe,
video overview
add that
of how to
to
do
the vial.
Also, you have the other option of, let's see if this will cooperate. Oh, there we go. Here's the instructions right here, also in written form. And then when you're ready to actually do the test, you've got the color chart at the top of the screen, and you can put your vial right there. you can enter your data, like let's say it's 8.5 and today's date, DKH, and you hit save, and now we've added a new parameter right into the app. So I'm doing more videos is the point of this little demonstration. And so I got me some brand new some brand new Red Sea test kits. I actually asked them not to send me a combo pack, but send me the individual ones because I wanted to do each one standalone because that's how the videos work. And then I saw someone comment, what else was in the box? These are the biospheres that I use. They've packaged them differently now. It's still 1,000 milliliters, but it's in a box instead of a pouch. It's kind of a bummer. I like the pouch because you can cut the top of the pouch off and put some water in and let it soak for 24 hours. Now, let's see. I doubt I can pour water in this box, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could open the Ziploc bag and pour some water in there and leave it on the counter. Might work. But this is what they look like. This is what I use on my biopellet reactor. And I asked him to send me a couple more because I was getting low. For my shop. I'm not saying I was low. It's what I use, but I sell these. And now I'm selling a new shape is the point. Okay. What other news did I have for you? Okay, John Beltram asked a good question. Why don't you want to show your anemone tank anymore? I actually posted a picture of it on Instagram a couple days ago. I also posted a picture of it on Facebook. Typically, I don't find photographs in an anemone tank to be all that pretty. It's just tentacles. Usually the blue spectrum of the radion light kind of makes the picture look a little crappy to me. I have to break out the Nikon for a good shot. I might even have to stop the flow in the tank, so the tentacles aren't moving too much. I don't know. I mean, the tank's nice. My reef is my favorite. I will make an effort to share that more often. Okay. I am going to pick a number, and I'm going to write it down. $27. That is the number I picked. So now I need to scroll up through this list of comments, and I need you guys to give me a minute, and I'm going to find the 27th job, and that person will win the book. They're going to win this book. So, give me a second here. Okay. A lot of RO questions. Okay, first one. Got it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 is trained as a chef but work in a fish store. 5, 6. And yes, a retired veteran is still a job. 7. Okay, that one's being secretive. 8, 9, 10, 11. High school, that's a job. That's number 12. 13, 14, 15. B-52 bomber pilot? How awesome is that? What did I say, 15? 16, 17, 18, 19. Somebody says President of the United States. 20, 21, 22. Beekeeper, 23, 24, 25, 26. And now people are chatting. Talking about DI. Corey Simpson, who builds garage doors. You just won this book. So I hope you're still here. And comment below. I need you to send me a message. You can send it to sales@milosreef.com. And I need your shipping information. I need name, address, and email address to send you the tracking info. And I'll get this shipped out for you as soon as the holiday is over. So congratulations on winning the clam book. I hope you really enjoy it. Okay. Oh, scrolled too far. Where is the bottom? I'm trying to see what you guys are saying. You guys are fun. So that was a cool little way of doing the drawing. At some point, if I ever have a secondary person, like a moderator of the chat area, maybe they can help kind of do the stuff for me and just say, that person is, because they've already been compiling the information. But I'm really happy for you that you won that book. I'm glad you guys participated. That was kind of fun. And it seemed like a great way to figure out what message was about versus all the other conversation. So we've been chatting for an hour already. I need to wrap this up. Hey, guys, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and I will see you again next Saturday. I already know what the topic is going to be, and I'm going to tell you now. So I hope you'll come and join in on that conversation. Basically, I want to hear what you got for Christmas for your tank. You can brag about everything else, but I'd like to know what's for your tank. And what you plan to do with your tank in 2018. Those are going to be our topics. So what'd you get, and what are you going to do? That's next Saturday at 2 o'clock. And I look forward to seeing you all really soon. I will work on the Fiji video this week. I also have an old video I need to get done. The Machina video is still not done, which I promised I was going to finish with. Oh my goodness, that has been months ago. I need to do the calcium reactor video that I promised I was going to do. That's coming up. I'm working on a water pump testing project starting this week. And that will be testing pumps for flow rate, for decibels, and for energy consumption. And I've got 3 pumps here already. I'm going to add a 4th one to the mix. And I'm going to measure not only how the pumps do measurement-wise, but also how they work with one-size plumbing, with larger plumbing, with lock line, with a penductor, or with nothing on the end. Just have the water come right out into the tank with no restriction whatsoever, and see what kind of measurements we get. I think that'll be really interesting. And that's a huge project for me to build up, and then, of course, video and give you all the details. But that is what I'll be working on during this Christmas break, so to speak, even though I'm never on a break. And other than that, follow me on Facebook. Enter that contest if you didn't do it yet on Facebook. A lot of you, I mean, look, 33,000 plus subscribers, and there's not 33,000 people on that Facebook page. So you guys are making a big mistake if you're not trying to enter the contest. And I shared some other cool videos recently on Facebook. 2 today were about nudibranchs. 1 last night was about a turtle trapped in cocaine. I know, right? 1 was about whale sharks that divers were diving with. Oh, amazing. So that is a great page to follow. I also shared a bunch of pictures last night of a top-off reservoir I was building. So in real time, every time I got done with the next part of it, I took a picture and shared it on my Facebook page. So if you're into acrylic work, you can kind of see some of the tricks of what I do. Hints, not really tricks. And also on Instagram, I share cool things too. So I'm kind of on all 3, but you should be on all 3 with me, so we can all hang out together and have fun. That's it. Thanks for everything, guys. Thanks for staying on this for the full hour, and I will see you again next Saturday.